Next, from the state capitol, we talk with Tony Paulauski, Executive Director of the ARC of Illinois. We hear why he says Illinois is becoming a national leader in how to serve those with developmental disabilities, and how group homes are both improving care while cutting costs. This runs about 12 minutes.
Tony Paulauski, Executive Director of the ARC of Illinois. Thanks for joining us again on the Illinois channel. And we apologize a little bit for having you stand out here. Hopefully it won't rain, and we apologize to the viewers for the wind blowing. But we wanted to follow up with you. You had an interesting rally today in which Governor Quinn spoke, and I would say it was somewhat of a legislative victory for what you've been urging for some years. So I'd rather have you say it in your own words. Well, what is it that the Quinn administration is doing that has you encouraged about the future, the direction of the policy?
Governor Quinn has put together a plan that is closing outdated state institutions and investing in community services, which means that people who have been locked up for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, are now finding a new freedom in a community home, living with people who are their friends, doing the things during the day that you and I take for granted. This is a remarkable plan that he's put forth, and I think it's a plan and a model for the nation. It's that good.
So, in essence, in the past, we call today developmentally disabled. That would include a variety of things, but you can tell me. Part of that would be Down syndrome. And in the past, as a society, we tended to put those individuals into an institution and kind of set them aside. Some people would say warehousing them. Now they're going into group homes. In essence, that's the policy, is it not?
Yeah, it is, and in some cases it's one person living with another person, so very small settings, and that's so important for people rather than being warehoused away. Exactly right, Gary.
And in fact, it was enlightening to me. About a year ago, we covered a conference with Sheila Romano. We did an interview with her, and there were a number of people there with Down syndrome, but they were asking questions. They were engaged in the policy, and I think people who have not been around the developmentally disabled tend to sometimes minimize their capacity to live independent lives on their own, and that was the point of me bringing it up. There were a number there who were wanting to go out and have their own apartment.
Absolutely. They want the same thing that you and I want, to have their own apartment, to be employed, to be able to get together after work to meet with their friends like you and I do, and to have a full life in the community.
And everyone knows, who's been following Illinois government at all, that the state is under a massive financial strain right now that's trying to be addressed. So what is the cost differential from being in an institution as compared to being in some of these group homes that you're talking about?
Yeah, the cost is dramatically different. It's about 1/3 of the cost to house somebody in the community than it is in a state institution. And as a result, the governor is taking the savings and he's taking people off the waiting list, and he's making more abundant lives for those folks that are moving to the community.
So the oddity, from what you're telling me, is, just to repeat it, is you're getting actually a much better quality of care at about a third of the cost of what they had been getting in institutions.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and many of these people have been written off as never being able to live in the community, and we're seeing some people, you saw some people today, that are living just abundant and full lives in the community, very happy about it. And when you ask them, would you ever move back to the state institution? 201, no, no, no.
And what is the difference? I mean, why is it so much better in a group home? I mean, when we group home, first of all, how many people would basically be in a group home?
Under this new setting, it's 4 people or less, depending upon the person and their needs and who they want to live with. And that's the difference, is that it's a small setting. In large settings where you've got 270 people living, it's very easy for people to be neglected, abuse, just nothing for them to do. when you've got just 3 or 4 people living together, the staff there have got to concentrate on their needs and what they're being paid to do to support. The studies show that the people who have the labels that say they're the most severely disabled are the ones that benefit the most because it's individualized support in the community.
Do you see, aside from just the quality for the individuals, over the time that you've been working on this issue, when someone goes into a group home, do you see an advancement in their either cognitive abilities or social skills, or how would you measure their personal success?
Oh my gosh. The change is dramatic because all of a sudden they're being allowed to make choices that they've never been able to make before. They're going to restaurants. They're having, you know, nights where they have their friends over. When you're in an institution, everybody eats at the same time. Everybody eats the same thing. Everybody watches the same TV program. Everything centers around that institution, and they rarely get out to have any type of a real in a community setting.
I know we had some parents saying that once their child went to an institution or a community home, I would say, just that they had so much better quality of life that they could go out horseback riding. They would go on kind of like field trips, you might say, together. And as Governor Quinn was saying today, one of the individuals just wanted to be able to sit on the porch and play his guitar, something that any number of the rest of us could relate to, that we don't want to be under the thumb of other people, whether it's our parents or anyone else.
That's why I'm so passionate about this rebalancing initiative. That's why I'm so passionate about this important work that we do at the ARC. It really does change people's life. It enables people to be free, independent, and with a little bit of help, you know, they can live a full and abundant life in the community.
What accounted for was it a turnaround in the Quinn administration, or what accounted for us getting to where we are today?
I think that Governor Quinn has surrounded himself with some very important disability advocates in Illinois. And those people are part of his staff and the fabric of his administration. I can't say enough about the team of people that he has, who really is the first governor that I've worked with that is really committed to supporting people in the community close to family and friends.
How many people are there with developmental disabilities that would be impacted by this? Do we have a number on it?
There are 220,000 infants, children, and adults with developmental disabilities in Illinois, and they're all going to need some kind of limited support to be able to stay in their own communities, and that's what rebalancing is all about.
And the way this works, I guess, is there a piece of legislation that's going to be passed to affect this change?
We're not looking for legislation. We're just looking for members of the General Assembly to support the governor's budget that continues this rebalancing effort.
And do you know off the top of your head what the dollars, the change in dollars would be relative to the dollars going to group homes?
Well, the magic of this is, and again, the commitment of the administration is basically all the money that we're spending on institutions is going into community services, and we're now, because of the excess money, we're able to move people off the waiting list. This year, 1,000 people will move off the waiting list and develop smaller and more group homes.
And when they're on a waiting list, where are they staying with their family members, like their parents or so?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is there an age limit, or are some of these people always going to be, I mean, what are the age brackets we're talking about?
Well, let me give you this statistic. In Illinois, we have about 30,000 caregivers who are over the age of 60. So, you know, those people need supports. And right now, the support is the family.
And so we have how many group homes at this time, do we know? And in other words, if there's no obstacle to the policy and that the governor's articulated, we don't build group homes, or do we? Or do we just go into existing homes and they're purchased and then people are moved into those?
We do both. We build and then we go into existing homes, because some people have, you know, physical disabilities, so we need to have accessible housing as well.
How many homes do we know exist right now, and how many more are needed?
There are about 8,000 people that live in small group homes throughout Illinois. But Terry, this isn't only about housing, it's about employment. It's about supporting people in their homes. Not everybody, is going to go into a group home, but if they have the proper supports, many folks can live semi-independently. So there's a lot more to this rebalancing effort than just, developing housing, which is an important component.
And before we close out, we should say if someone needs to get more information about this, how can they get a hold of you or your organization so they can find out more?
Yes, please. We're an amazing resource for families, and just Google the Arc of Illinois and it'll come up. That's the Arc of Illinois.
Okay, Tony Paulauski, thank you again for joining us.
All right, thank you, Terry.
Appreciate it.
All right.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.